now, please. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. What? I mean, how hard is it, dude? Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, holy hell.
Gosh, stay out of my room.
This hell. Stay out of my room.
I'm
This is my
recording
room.
a
My room.
podcast.
It do
Yeah,
be like
man.
that. It do be like that.
I got my uncle over, and I'm like, "Hey," him and his girlfriend are over. I think his fiance. I don't fucking know, but no, they're over. I'm like, "Hey guys," I tell my mom I don't really want them to know. I'm like, "Mom, listen, I'm gonna go record a podcast." Don't come with the My mom goes, "You're recording a podcast?" They all look at me, podcast. Like, oh my god.
Oh, damn.
Just a white dude recording a podcast. My natural habitat. All right, well, we're recording. What?
Yeah, or I guess we're recording now, so I guess we'll take it from the top, right?
Oh
The 4th and 9 draw returns.
shit!
I guess
Oh
in a
wait,
less serious
am
format.
I allowed to curse?
I don't fucking care. We don't make it for kids. It doesn't matter.
We ain't getting monetized.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir.
Shit.
Yes,
Oh, if we did get
sir.
monetized, 50 views. That might be a cent or two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I actually
Not
don't know
even.
if that's
I,
true.
I think we'd be lucky if we got that. I mean, we
I don't
can
even
put
think
that
that's.
cent towards actually, maybe being able to film them one day. That'd be pretty cool, right?
I mean, I could get a new mic with that, or to start getting
Yeah, maybe we'll
towards.
put it towards a little fund or something, so we can do these in like person or something. Because
Oh
doing
hell
them
yeah!
online kind of sucks.
Special dude, we can get Josh to the pool house and his payment. We can, special guest Josh.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, well, here we
Oh
go.
shit. I guess that's a cold intro to
See,
the
that's
return of
that's
us.
that's what the pros say do, they're like, ooh, and on that note of us joshing about, this shows that we're friends outside the show.
Yeah, I guess. Is that kind of what it shows?
I don't really know. It shows that we know we're relaxed in this setting.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess since that's gonna be our cold open, I guess we're gonna talk about week one. Week one of
Big
the
one.
NFL is back. Um, so I guess if we're gonna take this a little bit more of a lazy approach, I guess, is there anything right off the bat that we should really talk about, or stuff we should save until later on? Probably
Well,
the conversation we should have had, not recording.
right
But
off the bat, I
who
want to.
cares?
Yeah, I was trying to tell you this before the show, but your mom came in your room, so I didn't get to
Okay.
explain
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
so I'm thinking we start right off the bat with the thing we should have recorded before the season, but we're too lazy to do. We talk
Yeah.
about our expectations for the season and how they compare to week one. And I'll
Okay.
start. I'll come right out of the gate with my honest, like my shit ass takes. I have two that are just terrible, and I'm gonna start with the worst one. I told you about this a little bit, I think, or I hinted at it in a call we had one time. I thought the Saints were going to be so ass this season.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I have one that directly kind of, um, I think, I have my takeaway. I kind of hit the nail right on the head. I said, hey, Aaron Rodgers' first game back, he's going to throw for 133 yards and 2 picks. So, that's crazy. That's
Wow,
crazy.
wow, that's a really good take.
Yeah, I had that right on. Had that
Wow,
right on. No,
Nostradamus.
I kind of wanted to die that whole Packers game. I'm not even gonna lie.
I was the beat
You
up
know?
staring at the screen. I knew you were pissed.
Oh yeah. I was also I like the past week I've been like pretty sick too. So I was like and like Sunday was kind of the height of it. Like I had
Mm.
like a really bad fever and a really bad sore throat and it wasn't COVID or anything, so I took the test for it. So I guess it was just literally just the flu or just some random ass like cold. But
They're
yeah,
doing
that
you no
game was
favors.
pretty rough, and Jameis Winston actually looked really good out there. Like, even though he didn't throw for too many yards, he was pretty much lighting up the Packers secondary, which was sad.
Yeah, week one's always weird. I mean, I remember
Oh
a
yeah, no,
couple.
you
Yeah,
can't really take week one. Like, obviously, there are some takeaways that you can have from week one, but especially for the Packers fans that are just kind of freaking out right now, just I think like chilling out is probably the way to go right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too heavily about it. I would worry more about the O line than even Aaron Rodgers' play with
Yeah,
the
but the O
Packers.
line, I mean, we kind of knew the offensive line was going to be pretty ass once the season started. Right now, it's just kind of waiting, just sitting on our hands until David Bakhtiari gets back, and then instantly we already become a better O line.
It's true. Well, as for my other take that I had that I felt really strongly about, I felt really, and this one I'm not too feeling bad about because when I made this take, it was before all the injuries, but I really thought the Ravens were going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. I'm a Browns fan, but I really
Right.
thought the Ravens were going to win this division. Win 14, 15 games. I felt really good about them. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just felt super good about them having a great year. And then, of course, the running back injuries, Marcus Peters injury, blah, blah, blah.
Their
Then,
season was on the rocks before it even started, really. I mean, like the thing is too, they got rid of one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL during the offseason. They traded him to, I believe, uh it's the Chiefs, right?
fuck if I remember, dude.
Orlando Brown.
Oh, yeah. No, they did trade him to the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
they
Yeah.
traded him. They
Yeah, yeah,
traded him to the
yeah, yeah.
Chiefs, and that's Mm, I didn't like that trade when it first happened. I don't remember the specifics of it, but I just know getting rid of Orlando Brown is probably not the way you want to go, especially when you have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson who
Was
likes
for
to
a
make plays on
first
his
round
feet.
pick.
Yeah, exactly.
But it
So
was the Chiefs' first round pick, so, not
yeah,
great.
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. Now, obviously, we're not NFL analysts. This is just kind of us as
Well,
fans talking
well,
about kind of things we observe.
the problem was they
I
were
guess
put
we
to
should get
a.
that out of the way in case anybody fucking
Oh,
watches this shit.
we're stupid as
We're
shit.
stupid. Yeah, we're dumb. We're dumb. We don't know
We're
anything about the NFL. We're just fans. We like to, we like to bullshit around about
yeah.
NFL, so we figured we'd start this.
But Orlando Brown wanted to leave because he didn't want to play at. I forget if it was right or left tackle. It was whatever one he was at. He did not feel natural at, and he wanted to play for a team that would play him at his natural position.
Yeah,
So he really wanted out anyway. So I kind of get it from the Ravens. The problem becomes, um, I would argue the bigger issue wasn't the O line or even the running game as much. I think the Ravens, because of their scheme, can kind of throw anybody there. I feel that way about a lot of teams, like the Niners. I feel even more like that, or also the Cardinals. I feel that way. I feel a lot of teams you could just kind of throw a running back in, and no matter who they are, and they'll produce.
yeah. No, it was more their receiving game. They had just ass receivers, and Marquise Brown really isn't a number one. He's just a deep threat more than anything else. But even then, it's just because he's fast. He's not a tremendous route runner.
Him and his the problem is if Marquise Brown gets drafted in the third round, he's considered a massive success story. But the problem is that he was drafted in the first round, so it just doesn't look like a great pick.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a quality player in my opinion. He just struggles to drop sometimes, and he's not very consistent. But regardless, the problem is as well as they were dealing with the injury to Rashawn Bateman, which didn't think was a big deal. Honestly, I wasn't too worried about that because he'll be back soon. But with the injuries to Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins and Marcus Peters, that's not great. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I don't feel
especially
too
to
badly.
like a Ravens team who for the longest time their the success of their team has been their defense. Marcus Peters being out is a huge blow to them. This is it's kind of like there's always at least one team every year that is riddled with injuries and that kind of makes them have a lackluster season. And unfortunately, it's the Ravens who were primed to look like they were going to be a playoff team or for sure a playoff team or a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, now it's looking like this division could be anybody's really. I mean, I'm hoping
Yeah.
it'll be the Browns, but I don't know. I feel pretty good about the Browns game. Honestly, a bit of what a pro segue, by the way. I feel
No,
pretty
I
good about
mean
the Browns still, even
the
after
Browns.
Jamie Gillen decided he did not want them to win that game.
You
I
changed
still,
your Twitter handle or your Twitter
uh,
name because of that,
that's a
did you?
myth. I've been the Cleveland Browns enjoyer on Twitter for like over a year now. I was the Scottish Hammer fan account like during his rookie year, like 2 years ago. I changed that a while ago, but I
Really?
would have changed it. Yeah, I would have changed it though, regardless.
Damn. I guess haven't been paying attention to
Yeah, check in.
To you on Twitter. I mean, I haven't really interacted with you on Twitter, nor have you interacted with me, so I guess it doesn't. I mean,
You
I
gotta
haven't
lock
been
in.
on Twitter in a while, to be fair, either.
Probably smart.
So yeah,
I
yeah,
scroll on Twitter when I'm on break at work sometimes.
that must be a shitty break.
Yeah, well, I mean a chicken sandwich. Anyway, the Browns. Looking at the stat line, you couldn't tell. Baker played literally lights out. He was amazing until his last throw of the game, where he threw a really gross interception. Now he was being hit while he threw it, but that should have just not been thrown. That was a really, really bad pick. But besides that, he played really good. I mean, I felt really, really, really good about the Browns until Jamie Gillen muffed the snap. But until then, I felt really good about it. So I still feel pretty good about them playing lesser teams like the Texans, who they should destroy by 3 scores. And if they don't, then I might say if they lose, specifically if they lose to the Texans, I'm going to start worrying heavily. But as long as they can take care of the Texans, especially in convincing fashion,
Yeah,
I'm not too worried.
so a lot of people were talking about the Texans being like legit, and because of their performance against the Jaguars, and like the
Uh,
response to that is just it's the fucking Jaguars.
Jaguars are terrible.
Yeah, yeah. And like Trevor Lawrence really honestly wasn't too impressive in his
That,
debut. However,
that's one of my takeaways, TM.
yeah, so he showed sparks of like that big playability, which is nice. You always want that. But I mean, he just had some really bad reads the whole game, and that resulted in 3 picks, which, it's his first NFL game, obviously. It's week 1, it's just takeaways. You know what I mean? So obviously, like next week, he could completely play lights out, which,
The problem
it's
I have,
possible. It's against the Broncos, but the Broncos, again, they have a pretty good defense.
they have a really good defense, but
Yeah.
my
So
here's my thing. This is one of my we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but that's fine. Fuck
no, no, I know. We're just kind of bullshitting, I guess,
yeah.
more than anything
One
else.
of my big takeaways from this week was that um, Trevor Lawrence, probably of all the starting rookie quarterbacks, not probably, he had easily the most concerning showing because you see picks, interceptions all the time. For example, we're talking about Baker's. Baker threw a not great pick, but it was at least almost kind of like a 50-50 ball, and he was being hit while he threw it. That's not what I would call a concerning throw. I mean, he's also not a rookie, so we know what he's about, but that's not here nor there.
Right.
My thing with Trevor Lawrence was all 3 of those picks, because I watched them, were really bad.
Yeah. No,
They were
that was the game.
pretty
It
gross.
was the game I tuned in for. So like the Packers played 425, which obviously I'm gonna watch that. So the 1 o'clock games, I just I'll either scroll through the 1 o'clocks, or I'll put on a game that I definitely will want to watch. And the Jaguars and Texans was a game I definitely wanted to watch, because not the game itself. I wanted to watch Trevor Lawrence. I wanted to see his first NFL game, and it wasn't. I wasn't impressed, and obviously, who gives a shit if I'm impressed? I'm just a fucking idiot from the East Coast.
Hell yeah.
And so yeah, so like, who really cares? But I guess if you're a Jaguars fan, seeing that game,
I'd be very
you know,
concerned.
yeah, I would be, especially against the Texans team, the
He
Texans
looked
defense that isn't
okay in
too
the
good.
preseason, but it wasn't anything crazy. He looked genuinely worse than Trey Lance and Justin Fields in the preseason,
Yeah,
and
I
Mac
will
Jones.
say,
He looked
I think
like
this is
the
going
worst
to
freshman
be
quarterback probably in the preseason.
no. Okay, yeah, 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 definitely. I think also, I think I don't know how long Urban Meyer is going to last as a coach in the NFL, because he also did not coach a really good game defensively or offensively. So
Yeah,
I
he
think
could
this
be a
might
one and done
be,
candidate. He could be a
yeah,
one and
that's
done.
what I'm thinking it's going to be. Now, obviously, Trevor Lawrence is also young. This was his first start. He is probably going to be fine. All right.
Oh yeah, we're
This is
grossly
just,
overreacting right now.
yes, exactly, exactly. Week 1, preseason and week 1 is the time to overreact, or to like get your concerns out early, because again, it's early. You know, so Trevor Lawrence is. I think he'll be fine. The only thing though is that, again, the Jaguars, they didn't utilize
James Robinson.
James Robinson like
Yeah.
they should have. They did not, which is why I think Urban Meyer is probably going to be a one and done candidate. because like
Well,
I don't think there hasn't been a great track record of college coaches going to the NFL and doing too well. So
I
I guess
actually
we'll
have
see.
an opinion on that exact topic. A
Yeah.
huge takeaway for me. It's actually, this is kind of a reach, but I just want to talk about Cliff Kingsbury because this whole offseason, this has surprised me. This whole offseason, people just assume the Cardinals are at best a 500 team, or like not. I guess now it's 9-8 or 8-9. But
The Cardinals are something that's something I want to get into, I guess, a little bit later. Or if I guess we're getting into it now, then we can
fuck it,
talk about it.
let's get into it right now, right into the birds.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, but
Dude.
people are like, dude, Cliff Kingsbury's gonna get fired this year. He better win some games. It's like, why? Cliff Kingsbury's been a good coach. Kyler
Yeah.
Murray has been good. He's gotten better from year one to year two. He looks amazing now. I don't understand. They're in a really good division, and so people are assuming they're gonna be shit this year. Everybody on all of the podcasts, let's do it. I'm not saying it's just like they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna suck. The Cardinals are gonna be bad. It's just an assumed, or it's assumed they'll be at best 500. I don't get why we're thinking this. I don't understand. They looked good last year. They've improved their roster, bringing in people
They
like JJ Watt. It's like, what are we doing?
they looked fan fucking tastic this game against the Titans. I mean,
Yeah,
straight up.
and it's a
They
real
looked
opponent too. It's the Titans.
Yeah,
It's no
they
joke.
looked fantastic. What was Derrick Henry's final stats? Because
It's
I
like
did.
14 for 59, I think, something like that.
What was it?
I'm literally making this up because I have him in fantasy. I want to say 14 for 59. I
Okay.
could be wrong,
Um.
but it wasn't good.
Regardless, regardless, they um. it's- God damn it! I don't. I get. Hold on. Let me look up Derrick Henry's stats.
Okay. Well, then I'll talk
17
about.
for 58.
Okay, okay, okay,
Dude.
okay. Oh yeah, it was close.
Okay. Now Derrick Henry, going into this season, had very high expectations. Now, obviously, I think he's going to improve, but this Cardinals defense straight up ate him up. At least for the first half, too.
There you
The
go.
first half
The-
was garbage for Derrick Henry. He had a terrible first half.
Yeah, their D line is nasty. I really, really feel
Yeah.
good about it,
Yeah, if the
especially Chandler
Cardinals can
Jones.
play absolutely lights out like that again, or just for the rest of the season, oh my God, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with, especially in the playoffs. The only problem is that this kind of happened last season, though, where the Cardinals looked really good.
I
Um,
think they look better now, though.
yeah, I know. I'm just saying, for the first half of the season, the Cardinals looked really good, and then they fizzled out and they didn't even make the playoffs. But that being said, they looked way better in this first game than they did all of last year. Like way better. I mean, Chandler Jones having 5 sacks, that is an insane that's an insane stat line. That's like a Michael Strahan stat line. Like that's insanely good. And
Yeah,
DeAndre Hopkins had like 2 touchdowns in the first half alone, or got over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half alone. That's fucking insane. That is so good for the first game back, especially for that offense. And like they're only going to grow too. I mean, which is kind of crazy.
yeah, maybe. They kind of last year kind of did the opposite, where the offense regressed a bit. But they should get better, or at least stay the course. One thing that on a normal team would be a big worry is their running back room is like maybe the worst in the NFL. Nobody really talks about it. They
Yeah,
have James Conner and like Edmonds. It's like ooh,
Chase Edmonds. Yeah.
yeah, Chase.
Well, I
But
mean,
in
hey, they're good in Madden.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. If they are
Yeah,
getting mad,
you
then that must
know.
mean something. But the thing is,
Hey,
I
if
said
Cliff
this.
Kingsbury can't get him, like 9 touches for over 100 yards each, maybe I should come in there and coach. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I mean,
That,
when I had Bryce Love as like the greatest running back of all time, in
yeah,
21, I was.
yeah.
But
Look,
anyway,
hey, Madden's supposed to be a simulation.
it
All,
is, in
yeah,
some ways.
yeah,
Yeah, but the thing with most teams, I'd worry
mm,
about that. With the Cardinals, I don't really worry about it. I think they're one of those systems. I think a lot of it is because of Kyler Murray being a running quarterback. It just feels like teams that have running quarterbacks can, like the Eagles showed that actually this week as well. It
yeah,
just makes it a lot easier to run. So I'm thinking they'll be fine with those guys. I would look in the next offseason to definitely pick somebody up, or you can just wait till the trade deadline and see what's floating around. But yeah, I would
yeah.
look to upgrade at that position.
I was always kind of. I always wanted them to be one of the contenders to try and pick up Kareem Hunt from the Browns, but it doesn't look like Kareem Hunt, I guess, is being shipped out.
Oh
in
no, they're
Cleveland.
keeping
So
Kareem Hunt
yeah,
unless
so
like the season really falls apart and they just fire sale everybody. Kareem Hunt's not going anywhere
yeah,
after
but
last year at least.
but I remember when like I kind of wanted the Cardinals to always be that team that kind of picked up Kareem Hunt because I thought that'd be a really good fit for them.
It
Their
would
running
be
back room instantly becomes better.
Yeah, it would also just be a very Cardinals thing to do. They seem to be that team right now that's really into picking up these old veterans, and it kind of works out. They picked out DeAndre Hopkins, or they traded for him. That worked out. They signed J.J. Watt, who had a pretty good game. It was kind of, well, not kind of, it was overshadowed by Chandler Jones, but that's just going to happen. He looked
Yeah.
good, so it's fine. That seems to be working out. So
Well,
yeah,
JJ
taking
Watt's
Kareem Hunt.
also kind of in the prime of not the prime. Oh God, he's in that part of his career where I feel like he's not trying to pad his own stats. He's just trying to win a championship, which means being that team player. And JJ Watt, from what everyone has always said, he's been that team player. So I think as long as he can put up solid performances, it doesn't really matter if he gets overshadowed or not.
Yeah. Also,
As long as they are in contendership to win the ring.
I felt really good. This is something I felt good about for a couple of years now. But Christian Kirk also looked really good. I've always liked Christian Kirk as a really really high end number, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, I also I wanted to talk a little bit about I guess a theory in general that remains true, but this season specifically for the rookies, and it's that the preseason really doesn't tell us shit. I was thinking about this. This is one of the main reasons I even want to do this podcast because I wanted to talk about this because this has been on my mind since like literally week one ended. I've been thinking about it. How the preseason was useless. We were led to believe that Chase Young was could not catch a football, and he completely popped off for the Bengals. Or did I say
Jamar
Chase Young?
Chase.
Oh,
Jamar
fucking
Chase.
hell. Yeah, my bad. What the hell am I talking about? Sorry, Jamar
Oh,
Chase.
Jamar Chase. That is actually I didn't know you were actually going to be getting into that right now, but yeah, yeah. Because I picked him up in fantasy because I figured it was later on in the draft, so I was just like, you know what, fuck it. So I picked him up because
You
it
should
was
start him.
yeah I should have started yeah I ended up not. In fact, this week, I guess it'll be for like next week. So I'll just kind of throw in a little comment. I sat Saquon Barkley this week, which is looking like it was the way to go. So, but we'll get into that. We'll get into Saquon Barkley, I guess, later in the podcast, or if we want to get into it after this, we can, whatever. But yeah, Jamar Chase, he looked very good. He looked very, very good. And the Bengals looked overall pretty good. Obviously they still need to improve that line, but you know, kind of playing well against the Vikings defense, which they have a average to above average defense. Um, I thought that was a pretty good showing for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Um, Honestly, I felt pretty good about them until they allowed the Vikings to just blatantly get back into the game, which leads me to believe that on a coaching standpoint, they are still lacking. I don't know.
I
Zach
was never a
Taylor,
huge fan of Zach Taylor,
I don't think anybody
so
was because upon being hired, he was hired because he was the quarterbacks coach of the Sean McVay Rams, and it's like, okay,
yeah.
and now he's been a head coach that has had
But
no
yeah,
success.
for the longest time too, the Rams. Yes, the Rams were also a run first team for a while. They were never really a pass first team. And like especially when Jared Goff kind of started to just fizzle out a lot, um, they became more of a run first team, especially when they had Todd Gurley, who was when he was good. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not really a fan of Zach Taylor and that in that regard. We'll see.
the only thing I will say is that Joe Burrow's looked really good in all of his time there, so that's a plus. You could argue
Yeah,
that was just natural talent though, so we'll have to see.
I mean, I've kind of said this for a while. Besides straight up arm strength, I really like Joe Burrow over Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, Burrow's like a noodle
Um,
arm, but besides
yeah,
that,
Joe Burrow does not have the arm strength to chuck it downfield. I mean, that Jamar Chase touchdown, that's about as far as you're gonna see that motherfucker throw a football. Like,
Yeah, but yeah,
um,
he in every other facet, I also love Joe Burrow. I think his decision making for
yeah,
a rookie, it was fucking phenomenal.
yeah,
I love how he makes his progressions. His accuracy is top notch.
yeah.
He's for me, I would compare him to a Baker Mayfield with a weaker arm but way better decision making. Is how I'd probably, or if I'd have to give a comparison. They're
Yeah.
very similar to me.
Okay. I guess that's a fair comparison.
But anyway, the others that I wanted to talk about as well. Panay Sewell was a really, really. I really was not feeling good about Panay Sewell because in the preseason he was getting destroyed. Uh,
Yeah.
but then they flip his. Well, uh, they flip his position to left tackle to start the season because of an injury, and which he naturally played.
Yeah,
He,
they had him at right tackle through the
and
preseason, and
yeah, he was
he
really
didn't play
good.
that well.
And he was really good all game. So, I mean, I don't know. I felt pretty good about him after week 1. I think he's going to be fine, and I think they should keep him at left tackle.
Oh, no, when the Lions picked him up when the Lions picked him up, like, in the draft, I was like, "Dude, they kinda got him for a steal," because I always thought the Jets should have gone for him and then moved Mekhi Becton to right tackle, because, I think Mekhi Becton played right tackle in college.
That's a take. You're giving a take right
Well,
now.
okay, so that was kind of the thing. I was like, we'll get into all that later. But this
The
is again,
slander on Zach Wilson.
this
My
is me
goodness.
this is me before all of this happened. But
Okay,
I
okay,
was
okay.
always getting into arguments with my dad. My dad would always say the Jets need to get rid of Sam Darnold and all that. And I was like, I don't know. Sam Darnold was always just kind of in a shitty situation, kind of like Josh Rosen. Um, but I always thought that what the Jets should have done was um, draft Penn put him keep him at left tackle, and then move Mekhi Becton to right tackle, and then they immediately have probably one of the best and youngest offensive lines like in the NFL. They didn't do that, obviously. So what the fuck do I know? I guess. Um, but
Sam
I
Darnold
actually
looked good.
didn't look too much into the 49ers and the Lions game because that is just a game I was not interested in. I
It was
could
a weird game.
I could
It,
care less about Jared Goff. I don't give a fuck about the 49ers. So like
it was a it was
I
a
saw the Lions were getting
bizarre game.
destroyed in the
The
first half.
Lions were getting destroyed, and and it was like a college offense almost with Kyle Shanahan swapping in and out between Garoppolo and what's his name? I'm
I did
blank.
see well that is kind of what the Bears did too, right?
Kind of,
The
but that
yeah.
makes more sense to me because what is Andy Dalton going to do at the red zone? He might as well just purposely throw the interception and get it over with. It's Andy Dalton, but
Yeah.
but this is weird. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is capable to throw a touchdown, but it was just a really I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but it was a really weird whole
Who are you forgetting?
thing.
Trey Lance?
Yeah, Trey Lance. There you go. I don't know why
Who's smashing Liv Coward?
hey now,
Yeah,
hey, ooh,
hey.
ooh, ooh, that's
No,
good.
yeah, I
That's
probably
good.
should have made that joke. No,
He has the
no.
power.
Is it still the hip and trendy thing to do to hit on or not hit on, but um to simp for Liv Coward as a football fan?
I don't know. I don't really pay much attention to that, but maybe. But
Okay.
regardless, I don't know why they were flipping between them. I don't think that works in the NFL. It worked for them, I guess, for a one touchdown, but I don't think that's something that has any longevity. Every time a team tries to do shit like that, like it reminds me, not the same, but it reminded me a lot of when the uh the Ravens had Joe Flacco and they
I was
drafted
just
Lamar
about to
Jackson
say that. Like,
and they
isn't
were
that kind of what they did? They were
and it's
doing that whole thing with Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson.
don't get me wrong. I'm glad they did that because that gave us the clip of Lamar Jackson lining up at quarterback while Joe Flacco lined up at wide receiver. And when they snapped the play, he just stood there with his hands on his hips. All time moment. That was insane. I think about that consistently. It's also kind of like when the Eagles did that as well with Hurts and Wentz. That was kind of that also didn't really work.
Yeah, but
It,
I mean, Carson, what the fuck was that? I mean, oh, whatever. I don't give a fuck about the Eagles.
their win was very unconvincing. I want to get into that in a little bit. When I
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
oh, no, okay, no,
yeah,
no, no, it was a convincing win, but it's not something I would get overly excited about as an Eagles fan. Let me phrase that. It was a
yeah.
very convincing win. They
Well, yeah, we
dominated.
can get into that later because
Yeah.
I wanna take a minute because I think that's what we're about to do is take a whole fucking few minutes to just shit on both of those teams.
Well, we might as well.
So
I don't really have much to say. The Lions got back into the game at the end. It was really exciting. It was actually a pretty good game, but they couldn't get it done. And
that's what I did hear. It was a pretty good game because
I feel great
they
about
were
the
getting
Lions coaching
destroyed
staff.
at halftime, and then I saw they
Yeah.
came back. And I was like, huh, all right. Well, that's kind of a Lions thing to do.
Yeah, I guess. I just feel good about it. I also will say Jared Goff had one of those head scratcher interceptions he tends to have, so it's still the same old Jared. But he looked pretty good still. I will say he
I
looked all
mean,
right besides that throw.
I guess we can get into it later because but like the Rams definitely won that trade with
Oh,
for
we
Matt
knew that.
Stafford.
We
So
knew that as
yeah.
soon as it was completed. But
Yeah, I mean the Lions are literally known to have destroyed like the career of one of what could have been the greatest wide receiver of all time in Calvin Johnson.
well, like
And
I said, I'm just not playing anymore.
yeah, exactly. And possibly destroyed the stats of Matthew Stafford, who could have been a great QB. So
He didn't really destroy his stats. I'd argue they destroyed his win percentage more than anything. He still has pretty good stats. But anyway, I want to really get to kind of finish off my whole takeaway of us not knowing shit about the rookies. Where was Kyle Pitts? What I was told all off season, and he was dominant in training camp too. I was told this dude was going to be like the next big thing.
well, let's get into that. Let's get into the Eagles and Falcons game because
Okay.
I do have some stuff I kind of want to say about that, about Kyle Pitts specifically.
Yeah, he
So
was really. I'm gonna while I talk, I'm gonna pull up his stats real quick. But I do not feel great about Arthur Smith as the head coach right now. I really, really don't feel great.
I don't
On
feel good
offense,
about
they
the
were
Falcons
horribly
team.
uninspired.
I mean, I don't feel.
I
Oh,
watched the
oh
whole game
my
too.
God, that was such a one-dimensional offense. It was literally like I was watching the Packers when Mike McCarthy was coaching them. Oh my God. Except even worse than that because Matt Ryan didn't really look that good. That offensive line is just terrible. They who's that
Yeah,
left tackle that they had? Jake Matthews or no, Jalen
yeah.
Mayfield?
I'm gonna be honest. I
They,
don't remember, but I will
I
say Kyle Pitts had 4 receptions for 31 yards with only a 7.8 yards per catch. Not
I
great.
am going to attribute that genuinely to Matt Matt Ryan literally just not being able to get anything done on offense because that offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, I
Who
actually
did the
I
Jalen Mayfield? What round was Jalen Mayfield drafted? We'll look that up.
um
Because he was garbage. He was garbage. Jalen Mayfield, because that'll tell
he-
me when
um
he was drafted. I don't know what round he was drafted.
well,
However,
you take a
I
gander.
know
He
he
was a
gave up at
third round
least
pick.
one
He was
sack.
a third round pick.
Third round pick. I know he was. I think he was touted to be, or that was touted to be like
Feel.
a diamond in the rough. And
Oh, Madden reference.
yeah,
Oh, let's get in there. Let's
yeah.
go.
I know he gave up a sack. I
Um,
know I'm pretty sure.
the Falcons tend to have this
Who?
draft philosophy. They did it a couple years ago. They'll take rookies. They took 2 in the first round a couple years ago. They will take offensive line rookies, plug them in, and just say, "Well, that place is solved. That position's all good." Before we even, people tend to think that once a rookie is slotted into play, that position is good to go. A lot of uh, Browns fans a year ago were saying, well, with Jedrick Wills, that position is, we're cool. They were right. But most of the time, you're not right. Offensive linemen as rookies, or just offensive linemen in general coming into the league, have a pretty high fail rate. They, a lot of the time, are not good. So when teams throw in offensive linemen that are rookies and say, well, that position's solved, I always cringe a little bit because I know they're probably not solved. And with the Falcons, that's pretty much 99% of the time. They'll slot some
Yeah.
rookies in and say, "Here we go, position solved." And then,
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell as you look at that game, position not solved.
It is kind of a shame to see the Falcons in that state. They have just such a one-dimensional offense, which was the problem with Dan Quinn as well. Um, And like I am still very, very, very high on Kyle Pitts. I think he has the potential to be legitimately one of the best tight ends of all time. It is just such a fucking shame that Matt Ryan, number one, is regressing. He's getting a little bit older. They don't have a good coach, or at least I'm not sold on their coach. And they have a terrible offensive line. So by the time Matt Ryan is able to make a read for Kyle Pitts, it doesn't fucking matter because he's already got to try and run for his life or just take the sack.
Yeah, Arthur Smith also had a press conference after the game. He said, "This week will not define us." And it's kind of like, well, I wasn't thinking that, but now that you said it, I don't know why you had to say that after week one. Not many people were saying that, but now that he said it, I am going to say that, I think. Because I really don't. I can't imagine they're going to. Don't get me wrong. I will give the Eagles this. Their D line is really good. Really good still. Even all these years removed from the Super Bowl, that line is still awesome. So maybe they'll play teams with not as good D lines and have better luck. I'm kind of looking at early Saints games. I think they'd have a pretty good time against that defense. At least the D line, the O line will be all right. I think the secondary is another story, but I don't know. I just do not feel good about it because in theory, the defense for the Falcons we knew wasn't going to be good, but the offense should have moved and I don't know scored points. So it's really weird they couldn't get an offensive touchdown. I really don't like that. From the game, I could tell Matt Ryan can still play. It's not him. I mean, you have Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst, which in theory should be one of, if not the best tight end room in the NFL. They should be up there. That's an awesome tight end room in theory. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
And
And you have Calvin Ridley.
especially like especially a quarterback like Matt Ryan, who we know loves throwing to his tight ends, especially like with when he would just fucking try and feed the ball every game to either Julio or Austin Hooper when Austin Hooper was on the team. Even last year, he tried feeding the ball to Hayden Hurst as much as he could. So the fact that I, the fact that number one, I'm a little bit salty because I drafted Kyle Pitts in fantasy, so I really want him to do good.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So
Um,
I again, this is week one, so we're just getting concerns out of the way, I guess. But um no, Kyle Pitts, I think is going to be fine. I think the Falcons just I fucking I don't know what they need.
I will
They
say,
need they need a less one-dimensional offense
I will say
because
this:
that's kind of how it's been for the past couple of years for them.
their running game with Mike Davis was really bad and uninspired. Cordell Patterson looked really
Wow.
good. He looked awesome. He honestly looked like the best player in the whole team. When I was watching that game, the player I was most impressed with was Cordell Patterson. Uh, I would or Cordarrelle. I don't know how you say that guy's name, but
Cordero Patterson, I think.
Cordero Patterson. I felt super good about what he every run he had was explosive. They felt like they all went for over 5 yards. And for some reason he's getting half the carries of Mike Davis. And we know who Mike Davis is. We know he's just a dude. You throw him in for like 5 carries, you might get, some okay. You put, if it's like a 3rd and 1, you run it with Mike Davis. Yeah, you'll probably get that first down. It's like 1st and 10. Yeah, we'll make it a 2nd and 8, second and, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it just went against their game plan. So I'm not gonna critique them too much for it. But going into week 2, I would maybe see if we split it more 50-50 or even more 60-40 in Cordell's favor.
Yeah.
We'll see. I did feel good about that. The last thing I want to say is, as an Eagles fan, I don't want to be a dick. Obviously, you want to be excited for a win when you were told you were going to be asked this season, and you still might be. But you're looking good right now. But I didn't feel great about Jalen Hurts, or as great. He played well, but not as well as I think a lot of people are saying. He his I think yards per attempt might have been like 5.5 or something, really low. He wasn't throwing the ball far. He was very accurate, but when the throws are all less than 10 yards, it it's gonna be that way. As a runner, though, I was really impressed, and it really helped the ground game with Miles Sanders. So that is something to be excited about, if nothing else. Just as a thrower, I'm not sold yet, and I want to see them play a real defense.
Yeah. I also was I really liked Devonta Smith's performance too for the Eagles. I thought it was very very
Oh
solid
yeah, he looked good.
and instantly becomes a number one for them. So
Yeah. Another team I wanted to talk about uh, was the Dolphins Patriots game, or another game, should I say?
I haven't. I'm gonna let you do most of the talking for that one because I didn't fucking watch this game,
I
and I didn't look
watched
at any of the
a good
stats
bit of
too.
it with Josh, and I went back and watched some more. I will say it felt like the wrong team won to me. On a pure quarterback versus quarterback standpoint, it did. I thought Tua played quite bad. I did not like how Tua played. He had some really weird throws. His interception was stupid. That wasn't his fault. It was a very weird like instance of the ball getting bopped into the air. It was kind of like a Madden play, to be
Yeah.
honest. But I still didn't think he played very well. His yards per attempt weren't great. I just did not like the Tua experience. On the flip side, Mac Jones, who also didn't have a good yards per attempt, but we're gonna ignore that. Mac Jones played really well. Besides one really bizarre fumble where he just tossed it backwards as he panicked, that was a bad play. Besides that, he looked awesome. Damian Harris looked awesome. Nelson Aguilar looked awesome. I was really impressed with this. Also, their two tight ends did pretty good. Johnny Smith with 5 catches, Hunter Henry with 3. I felt really good about the Patriots, even though they lost. I think they have a pretty bright future with Mac Jones and this team. I think they are probably going to get to 500, maybe even a little above. I don't see them as a playoff team still. I think they're
Yeah.
still a year or two away, but they look good. And I could see the Dolphins plummeting after this. I did not feel good about them at all.
I have at least one thing that I do want to say about the Dolphins real quick, because I don't want to spend too much time on like every single fucking game. Um, what I did see, you would think that the Patriots won this game because the only thing that I hear coming out of this game is Mac Jones, like basically the biggest name coming out of this. So I hope the Patriots do well. It'd be really nice to see them get back on top. Like, team rebuilds take a while, and the Patriots are kind of rebuilding it really fast. And I think that literally is credited to Bill Belichick. So that's cool. The thing that I don't like about the Dolphins, I do not like Tua as their starting quarterback because every single one of their wide receivers that they have on roster is a deep threat receiver. And we know that Tua does not have a good arm strength. Like that is just one of the like downsides that everybody was saying about Tua coming out of college was that he is not a throw deep type quarterback. So like what that is why I'm really confused about the drafting of Jalen Waddle, why they picked up Will Fuller, Devonta Parker, and Jakeem Grant. Like those are all four wide receivers right there are all deep threat receivers that aren't like fantastic route runners. So I don't really like whatever scheme they're trying to force these receivers into or try and force Tua into.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. It's still only 1 week, but yeah, I feel like that's the two of old. I don't see a huge improvement based off this game. We'll see. Um, I don't. Is there any other games you want to talk about, or anything else
Um,
you want to talk about here?
did we
Or
talk
we?
about Um, I guess just a couple other just random thoughts. I loved seeing Sam Darnold beat the Jets.
Oh yeah, he looked good too.
He looked very good. And on a team that finally has, he has good to great players surrounding him, so that's really nice. Um not mm, I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about the Jets. The Packers, I think the biggest thing is to just chill out. Everything's going to be fine. Um, Jameis Winston looks good, but I guess we'll see. Did you see that stat that the entire time that Drew Brees played for the Saints, and that's a pretty long time, he never once threw a pass for more than 50 yards in the air?
Really?
Yeah,
Is that real?
that is dead ass fucking real. Jameis Winston was the first quarter or was the first was able to do it in his first game. He threw a pass in the
Huh.
air for 50
That's
yards.
crazy. I
Yeah.
almost don't believe that. But huh.
Well, that's the thing. I had to look it up too because I just saw it on Twitter, but then I looked through it and like Adam Schefter confirmed it, like all these like football people confirmed it. So that's even the NFL. I think the NFL tweeted out something. Drew Brees joked about it. So
Crazy.
yeah, that's pretty insane to me. I think that Jameis Winston, the biggest issue with him was always his decision making. His decision making was the worst in the NFL by far. So
Well, it's better
we'll
now.
see.
He's beasting.
Yep.
Oh yeah, one more takeaway. I don't want to get into this game too much because I don't think it's that interesting. But with
Yep.
the Chargers Washington game, I thought Justin Herbert looked really good. Still,
Uh-huh.
his stat line doesn't pop off the page because he had a lot of key drops. He should have more touchdowns, but still they won and he looked good. And with the Ryan Fitzpatrick injury, I really am not worried if I'm a Washington football team fan because Taylor Heineke is not really. I would say not a huge drop off. You could argue not even a drop off at all. I feel about the same as I do, maybe a little worse, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it. Now,
I
this is
think
coming
the
with some
only thing is
hindsight.
that you're not really getting a veteran presence there, or like a
Yeah,
veteran
I will
mind.
say we kind of a peek behind the curtain. We've already seen the Giants Washington football team game from week 2 upon recording this, so
Yeah, happened last night.
we
Yeah.
know he played well there, but I kind of had this opinion going into the season in general. So I'm not too worried about that if I'm them.
Yep.
And I think I have one last thing to say. Carson Wentz looked fine on the Colts. He looked way better than he did last year. Not an MVP Carson Wentz form, but definitely. Oh, he was never the MVP, but he should have been.
Well, he's going against the first part of the season Russell Wilson. So I kind of knew that game was going to be a loss. I kind of that's something I would want to see later on in the season when Russell Wilson usually tends to drop off.
Problem with the Colts is they just don't have an explosive player on offense. But maybe Jonathan Taylor was an explosive
Yep.
in that game, and without that, they got nothing going on. None of their wide receivers to me. I'm not saying they're bad. Like I'm a big Zach Pascal fan, but they're not explosive. None of the other running backs are explosive, and he wasn't. Jonathan Taylor wasn't explosive either. Carson Wentz right now doesn't feel explosive either, so they're going to lose 9 out of 10 times to the Seahawks team that has Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson, and Russell Wilson making big plays.
Yeah.
But I think that's all I really have to
Yeah.
talk about.
I think for me too. Oh, fuck! How could I forget? The Buccaneers look fantastic. By the
Oh
way,
yeah,
the
oh yeah.
Buccaneers look fantastic. Dak looked really good, but he's about the only player on that Cowboys team that looked good.
Hey yo, Amari Jones and CeeDee Lamb look awesome,
I
buddy.
think I think that's more or less got to do with Dak.
Nah,
But
I feel really good about CeeDee Lamb. I'm not just saying that because of fantasy either. I'm a CeeDee Lamb fan, you could say.
all right, all right.
We'll
Well,
see
I
what
think the
happens in week 2.
Buccaneers are slated to make another playoff run. Antonio Brown looked like the Antonio Brown of old. Tom Brady had 2 picks, but hey, that's what you're gonna fucking see
Well,
from
one of them was
Brady.
a Hail Mary.
Yeah, yeah.
I
One of
mean,
them was a Hail Mary. The other one was just not that
neither are
great of a
considered.
throw.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
But
considered.
you usually see that from Brady a couple times throughout the season, so whatever.
Yeah. All
Um,
right. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I guess that's it.
Would you like to do? Should we maybe try and do predictions for next week, and we can do like
Hmm.
tally up who wins each week and who loses each week?
You're really you're making me fight for my life right now, especially because we already missed one of the games. How
Damn, I
about this? How
forgot.
about this? How about this? We'll both choose an upset or something, or like a game we think is gonna not go the way people think, and then we'll come back to it. If
I
we
don't fucking know. Damn.
you want to do predictions, you're not ready.
Well, I mean, like you're trying to make me choose an upset predictions. I'd be like, oh yeah, this team's definitely winning.
All
Now I'm
right.
trying to look through like,
Well,
damn dog, goddamn.
oh damn.
I think. Fuck. I don't fucking. I'm. This video's.
Thanks
There's a.
everybody for coming
All
to the
right.
4th and 9 draw
All
podcast.
right. Sounds
It,
good. We'll just end it there.
it was a good time.
Yeah.
We talked about the old pigskin, 2 dudes just talking about football.
Hey man, you got to start like watching wrestling so we can, start a wrestling podcast. I think that'd be fun, right?
Anyway, thanks for coming back to the 4th and 9 raw.
All right.
All right.
Jesus.